In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Google Earth Pro on a desktop or even really Google Earth on a mobile, like an iPad, to estimate the area of a pasture or some other area you'd like to know the size of it. I think you'll find this to be very useful. Hope you'll enjoy it. Okay, after you got Google Earth Pro loaded on your desktop and you opened it up, um, to find your property, you can add the address up here in the top left, and then click search, and it'll zoom into it. Now, once you're into it, you can change things like the magnification over here. Get off of it; they kind of fade out, but just come over. Now, this moves it this way and that way, and so forth. But you can also just use the cursor to do it. You can rotate it around like you want, like this. I kind of like this view right here. We're going to leave that like that. And so now all we got to do to measure this pasture, which is located right in this area here, okay? This is our ground mount solar panels. We're also going to measure the area of them. Now, just go up to the top here, see that little ruler, click on that, and you get this measure uh, menu here. And for a line, if you just want to measure a distance, like the length, whoops, is at a point here on the edge of the solar panels. And click there and then click there. It gives me, whoops. Okay, there we go. This is 41.91 feet. They're actually slightly larger than that, but you can adjust that by, with that little finger there, just kind of left click and move it, get a little hand and move it around. Okay, so that's a little closer to what I've actually physically measured. And we're going to clear that. And what we're going to do is do a polygon, because this pasture is going to be an odd shaped deal here. It's not going to be a regular triangle or a rectangle. So we're going to click on polygon. Come up here and add a point right there in that corner, that fence. And we're going to add another one down to about here. It's pretty much a straight line there. And curves a little bit here. Just keep clicking, add points. Okay. We get a little jog this way in it. It starts coming this way. I'm going to come down here, and it makes another turn. Okay. Now, what you can do if you need to move them around, just take that right or left click, and you can move that around any way you need to do it. So this comes pretty straight. Let's move this a little bit that way. Down to, I believe, down to about here. It's a little hard to see because we got trees here. And we're going to come down. That's fairly straight down to about there. Okay, and behind the trees. For some reason, some of these lines at a certain angle, they'll show a bend in it like that. It looks like it's bent, but not sure what that's about. This fence line runs pretty straight along here. We're just going to come to out here where these Leland cypress trees are. Now we're going to start making a curve. The trees hide the fence line, so I'm just having to approximate where it is in there. And we can just establish a curve along here by doing this. We're coming down to a gate down here. And move that a little bit this way. That's about one side of the gate. The other side is going to be right about there. And this goes pretty straight up to about here. Then it starts making a curve. And we come down here into another gate. Okay. And that gate actually runs to about there. That's about right. Okay, now if you'll notice, this says up here 1,049.35 feet, 58,000 square feet. If you click on that right there, you can get it in acres. 1.33 acres. Okay, which is interesting. I guessed 1 acre, my wife guessed 3, so neither one of us were right. So this makes it very, very easy to do this. You can also do this with the regular Google Earth version, not the Pro, but the regular Google Earth is available for an iPad, and it's just as easy on that, if not easier. And that's where I first did this. Now I've got Snagit installed here. I'm just gonna do a screenshot save. You can also do your regular screenshot save. I happen to like Snagit. Okay, now over here on the left, you can, actually, I'm sorry, up here you can click on save. And what that'll do is you can add a name to that. I'm gonna call that perimeter. That's a perimeter of the pasture. Oops. And just click OK. And that's going to add this over here to temporary places on the left. Okay, and also changes it to a red color. Now what I want to do is also measure these solar panels. These are an angle 25 degrees relative to horizontal. And another slide I'm going to show you how I calculated what that view would look like looking straight down, because you're not going to get, it's not going to be just the width times the length. It's a little bit different. You have to do a little trig on it, and but we should come out pretty close. So I'm going to click the ruler again, add a point about there, add one there. We're still doing polygon. And this little black strip here is a shadow. It's not actual measurements. Let's go up here and get this back to square feet. Left click. You can move that around a little bit as you think you need to. This really defines a parallelogram. It's not a rectangle. Okay, that says 743.81 square feet. I'm going to do a Snagit on this as well. You can do your own version of screenshot, whatever that is. Okay, now I'm going to actually, let's go ahead and save that. Turns that red. We'll call this solar. And that should create it over here on the left in temporary places. I'm also going to do a triangle here. Just to verify how accurate this system is, I actually went out and physically measured a pretty large triangle. I'm going to do that, and I'll show you where this goes here. From about this Lula and cypress tree right here. Whoops, I need to put a point there. And so about right there, and then a point in front of this poplar tree right down here. Okay. I think this is a little too far to the left. All right, that looks good. So you'll see how this looks bent here, that line. I'm not sure why. It does tend to do that sometimes. 9875, I want to do a Snagit on this. Come back down to our Pro. And we're going to save this, 9875 square feet. And we'll call this the triangle. Okay. Really, I mean, once you did your basic area, got your area, you don't really need to do any more. I'm just doing some of this to show you how to try to verify the accuracy of the system. But it's really easy to do. It's very easy to do with the mobile version too, on like an iPad. So, okay, I'm going to end this now, and we're going to take a look at a couple other images, and I'll show you how I verified that this is relatively accurate. Okay, just to show you how I calculated this visible area from space. The length of these panels actually measured is 42.66. That's that length right there. This distance here is 19.25 feet. The angle relative to ground was 25 degrees. The cosine of this angle should be equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. That's what we have right here. So cosine of theta was 0.906. To solve for adjacent, because that's the view we're going to be looking straight down at. We end up in 17.45 feet. Multiply that times the 42.66, got 744.42. Okay, the view of the solar panels is pretty close to a parallelogram. But I think it was close enough to a rectangle. I just ignored the parallelogram. We just multiplied multiplied to 17.45 times the length, and got the square footage pretty close to what Google Earth Pro said, so I was pretty happy with it. Okay, we've got our measurements that we actually made out in the pasture. By the way, this pasture, this is an old image from Google Earth Pro. It really looks a lot better than this now, but it still needs some improvement. 184.6 feet from that point to there, 159 to there. This being the height, 155.75 and 132 for the base. Those are actual measurements. So if you look at the area for a triangle where you got 1/2 times the height times the base, that equals 10,280 square feet. With Google Earth Pro, it calculated 9,875 square feet. Well, that's roughly 3.9% lower than where we measured. So which one's right? I don't think 4% low is not bad. That's really considering all the chances for error, making the actual measurements and creating the polygon. So I'm pretty happy with it. I think it gives you more than enough accuracy to say estimate this area to decide how much fertilizer to buy or that sort of thing. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please click on the round Anisotropic Plus subscribe button. Check out our other links. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you.